Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Qigong event. And now, the famous David J. Coon.
Famous, I don't know, but definitely infamous. Thank you, Bella.
Welcome.
The back end of the Qigong Awareness team. Is this okay? People are asking a few questions. You guys can check it out and answer them if you need to. Hello, I see some familiar faces. Welcome. Some people will be tuning in later. Some people will be tuning in throughout the program. But either way, here we are. I am off and running, streaming live from Wilmington, North Carolina on a channel some of you are familiar with, some of you are seeing for the very first time. Today, first off, I want to start off by saying thank you to the Love, Peace, Amen Foundation for sponsoring these free programs in December. Give them a round of applause. Thank you to them for offering this to us. The representatives of this particular organization, as I mentioned in the last program, have found the Qigong exercises, the healing practices, etc., very helpful for themselves, the individuals, and also some extended individuals. So anyway, they really wanted you to experience this for yourself because they have found it themselves to be life-changing. So as some of you who are tuning in today, you already know that story. So for those of you that don't know me, I am David J. Coon. I am the author of Qigong for Beginners, Your Path to Greater Health and Vitality. That means I'm an author. Check that out. I wrote this in my spare time, which was in the wee hours of the night, in between traveling and teaching and training and doing workshops and all of that kind of stuff. Today, we are tuning in to discuss Qigong for reducing stress. Wow, what an awesome time to be discussing something like that, because there's always stress on the planet, but you know, with the pandemic and everything else, a lot of people are experiencing more stress than maybe they ever have in their whole lives. And they may also not have access to whether it's therapy or some of their close friends or family members or support systems or whatever it is that they were doing before this whole pandemic started. So there's no better time to learn some hacks to getting your mind centered, getting your mind clear. And this is going to require that we learn to develop our ability to focus. Very, very important. I want to share that with you, that concept with you from the very beginning before we start off. So many people have their mind going in so many different directions. So we want to learn to bring our mind to a focal point and learn to focus on something for extended periods of time. Now, in Qigong practice, that is going to mean focusing on particular areas of our body. It's also going to mean focusing on our, guess what, breath. Focusing on our what? Movement, physical movement. In other moments, focusing on our stillness. And get this, being able to turn that on and turn that off at will. This is what it's about. So if you're in a busy airport, or it's a stressful day, or you've got to go pay the bills or figure out where you're getting money to pay the bills, or you have to go to a job, or somebody's coming over for Thanksgiving that stresses you out, whatever the case is, that you have tools, you have exercises to get a handle on yourself, to prepare for the business meeting, to take into the business meeting, and then when the business meeting is over or the Thanksgiving dinner is over, that you also have ways to clear out afterwards, because this is a thing of momentum, okay? It's all about what kind of momentum do you have. Stress becomes anxiety, becomes an anxiety attack, becomes PTSD through trauma and so on, of continuing to play that upon the body, continuing to play that upon the body, continuing to play that upon the body. That's momentum. So the reason that we have not 1, 2, 3 Qigong exercises, some systems, they have 8 Qigong exercises, like the 8 brocades, and that's all they do. For me, I have 1,000 techniques Qigong practices, martial arts movements, etc., etc. All of these movements, why? Because it occupies and takes over the mind. It's my favorite kind of vacation. If I can take my Qigong practices and go take it to a beach or take it to the forest, that's awesome. That becomes maybe an even better vacation. Maybe I do it on the big island of Hawaii when we went over there a couple years ago before the pandemic. We taught over there. It's awesome. I'm practicing on the beach. I'm practicing next to a big Buddha. Awesome. But here's the thing, the best part of the vacation for me, one of the best parts aside from spending time with my family, but one of the best parts for me in my life is getting that vacation from life by taking over my focus, like obsessing with a particular practice and doing that for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Now check it out. It is wonderful to have an easy practice, and I'm going to give you some easy practices. But I also want you to understand it is very important to have engaging practices that are a little bit difficult. Why? Because it forces you to focus on the practice rather than focusing on whatever problems you're having. That will change your anxiety very, very quickly. The moment that you become obsessed with trying to figure out this exercise, initially, it may cause you greater stress. You're like, oh my God, how does this exercise work? I can't do it. And if you quit, you miss the magic. The magic comes when you're actually focusing on that exercise and you decide for whatever reason, well, really it's just because you decide, but you get to that place where you go, okay, I've decided I'm going to focus on this practice. And the moment you do that, all of your focus, all your faculties come to figuring out how to do that practice. Pause to take a breath. That's just so you don't feel like the wind's just blowing on you nonstop. So we'll pause momentarily. We're going to get to some physical practices in a moment. We'll just go a little bit further with this. Getting that focused and getting that obsessed with a practice and with the movement. I often say that Qigong practice is like juggling balls. Because to begin with, you might be able to only juggle the 2 balls, one to the other hand, and then you even drop that. As time goes on in Qigong practice, you're managing the movement versus the stillness versus am I breathing in? Am I breathing out? Am I supposed to breathe in with that movement, out with that movement? Anyway, as time goes on, there's even more to focus on. Some people are intimidated by that. Don't worry about it in the beginning. Just have fun with it. And as time goes on, you may find, I did, and I do, I find it fun that the practice has 5 or 6 different things or 8 things for me to juggle all at the same time. It's amazing because then I get to be on vacation inside my own head, inside my own body. And guess what? It has major health benefits. It has major benefits to what that does to your psyche so that you can go back to work or go back to play or go back to family or go back to business. It has a major impact on your whole being. Now, many people just sit back, whatever they do, watch the TV or the news or whatever, and they worry, and then they listen to their friends who are worried, and they have conversations over who's right and who's wrong. And by the way, everybody's right. We all have our own opinion. We all sit in a particular place in our own tree, and we look out at the world from that particular perspective. And you know what? When I sit in a tree and I look out from that particular perspective, I'm only going to see my opinion and I'm only going to see my way. And if I open my heart a little bit, I can go, oh, you have that perspective? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, you sit up there in the tree, don't you? Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, you're right, too. Interesting. So here's the thing. You can fight over who's right and all of that business and try and get your way and feel very empowered by being right and more right than someone else. But I'm going to tell you a secret, if you don't know it already. That's competition. That's conflict. And human beings have been doing that for a long time, and it's fine. I go to jujitsu, I go to martial art, I practice a little bit of that, and we wrestle with each other. But here's the thing. if you're looking for a greater sort of peace of mind, even when I go to jujitsu or martial art, we consider that, people like me, not that everybody that practices this has my opinion, but I see Qigong, I see martial art, I see sweeping the floor, I see these all as practices of purification of the mind. In Japan, they talk about some of this as misogi, washing and cleansing the mind, purifying the mind. Get into a waterfall. We'll be starting out with an exercise momentarily called the waterfall, and getting into that waterfall and cleansing and washing the mind. And if you do this on a regular basis, not only is your body going to be healthier, not only are you going to have to go to the doctor less, because preventative medicine is the best medicine, you're not going to let stress build up in your body to the point that it starts becoming a problem or has control over you. But if it does, you will have tools to break the cycle and change it and move it in a different direction. You are in charge. Some people these days, they refer to me as a Qigong master, as a medical Qigong master. But as I often say, I'm not your master. I'm my own master, and I own that. I want to teach you, to the best of my ability, to master some things in your life called your breath, your psyche, your consciousness, your emotional state, your mood, how you stand, how you breathe. Because if you do that, you're going to start to take ownership over your body. And I'm going to tell you something from experience, as best as I can tell you, coming from someone who grew up with a tremendous amount of fear, tremendous amount of anxiety, got run over by a trailer, ended up with a spinal disease. They said, you'll be crippled by the time you're 30 years old. Your spine looks like you're 85 years old. I don't know too many people who've done what I did. I reversed the spinal disease. I kicked butt on the anxiety. I continue to kick butt on the anxiety moving forward in my life. Always there's stress in life. How do you manage it? What do you do about it? It's not about making it go away forever. How do you manage it? In the process of doing that and practicing some of the practices that we're about to engage in, not only did I heal my spine, not only did I heal the fear, and during my 20s or whatever it was, I had, panic attacks. Not only did I get rid of those and learn to manage myself, because a panic attack basically is just when stress builds up so much that it just kind of explodes in your body. That's really what it is. So not only did I do that, but I had an experience where my heart opened so dramatically, my heart center, my heart space. We'll be getting into this as we talk about the chakras a little bit later, okay? But my heart opened so dramatically that not only did the spinal disease heal, not only did my back and my body loosen up, not only did I leave my body and see myself up from the ceiling, looking back on my body, not only did I feel free, not only did I feel expanded when I came back to my life, that perception stuck around. I went from being an individual person, afraid of other people, afraid of new environments, just like everybody for the most part is. Everybody has a certain degree of that. Some environments are going to provoke more fear than others. Now I go where I want, I do what I want, and I leave the fear behind. I open up my heart. I allow myself to be more vulnerable, not fighting with everybody, more vulnerable in my heart space. No attack in my consciousness. The Buddhists would call that ahimsa, harmlessness to myself, harmlessness to others. Because when you do that in the airport, they literally, I just told someone this story the other day. I'm going to finish with the story. We're going to take a couple breaths and we're going to go into the physical practice. But this is my conclusion of this first run, okay? I went to the airport. This is right before the pandemic. I was in Los Angeles. The airport was early morning, very busy. all these people over here, crowded over here, going through security. I never really liked the vibe of that whole thing. Who does? Nobody likes it, right? But I'm approaching it. It's like 5 in the morning. Do I really want to be doing this at 5 in the morning? No, but I got to get home, so on and so forth, right? So there I am. This whole crowd of people is over here. This one TSA agent is very sort of angry and very like just being, you know, bossy and all of this. And all these people, like 30 of them, without even realizing it, are in some degree of what I would call victim consciousness. It's almost like we do that as human beings. We're like, okay, and there's an authority figure, and we just like, okay, and people are sort of in fear. That's the best way I can put that. So without judging any of it, I just looked at it, I observed it. I let my heart become vulnerable, very relaxed. And here's a key concept. And I could talk about this part all day, but I'm only say it briefly. Practice being harmless. Practice no judgment, even if your ego is judging. Practice being non-judgmental. Practice looking for the light in your neighbor's eyes, even if they're an angry TSA agent. Look for the light and whisper on the level of the mind, because everybody is telepathic. Whisper on the level of the mind. I see the light in you. I only offer you kindness. I only offer you peace. Okay? I only offer you love, peace, amen. I only offer you healing. I only offer you no attack. Watch what happens. I don't have time to talk about it all day, but there's a brief idea. Some of the other courses I teach, you know, talk about this more extensively. But let me tell you, if you can grasp this concept, your stress will diminish immensely. So go back to the story. I'm standing there. I do my practice. Literally, the TSA agent looks at me within 2 minutes. He looks at me. I'm like standing on this side. This crowd's over here. There's a crowd in front of me. He looks at me and he points me out. And instead of pointing me out and saying, you in the puffer, I like to call that thing the puffer, where you go in there and there's like poof, poof. And they try to check to see if you have bombs or whatever, right? Anyway, so instead of, hey, you get in the puffer, he says to me, sir, come on over here. Really nice. He says, sir, come on over here. I said, okay. So I walk over there. He says, just come through here. He lets me go through the easy one. I just walk through. He goes, thank you very much. Have a nice day. That was it. That was it. I look back at the crowd, the whole crowd, both sides. They're all there. Everybody's in a fracas. Nobody noticed that I came. Nobody noticed that I went, and he let me through with ease. Talk about reducing your own stress. So if you want to live that kind of life, practice discovering peace, practice working with your own body and your own emotional state, because listen, you're going to take this thing with you wherever you go in the physical world, and however you go there, that's how it's going to be. If you go there in peace, it's going to be peaceful. If you go there practicing peace, even though there's a little internal chaos, but you manage it with some of the tools that I'm going to teach you, some that you need some space, some that you can just sit in a chair and do it from here. If you take this with you on the road, you can manage your stress. But check this out, not just manage your stress, not just manage your anxiety, but listen, manage the environment around you. You will influence the environment around you. And when that happens, there's an old teaching, as you give, so shall you receive. I just taught you the deeper meaning of this teaching. You're always giving your energy, always, 24/7. You're always giving your energy, always giving your energy, always giving your energy. Get the idea? Always giving your energy. So ask yourself an honest question. What energy am I putting off? Because accidents are not accidents. You're not going to go out in the world and just have an accident and someone's going to come hurt you. What are you vibrating with? What are you resonating with? What are you putting off before you leave the house? Manage it to the best of your ability. And when you get on the road, manage it to the best of your ability. And then when you get to that environment, whether it's a business meeting or whatever it is, manage it to the best of your ability. Okay? This is the best you can do. And then depending on how things go, it goes pretty good, it goes great, it goes not so good, go home. And now go back to managing this, because you are like the sun and everything in your world is revolving around you. Change what's going on in the center and you change what revolves around you. Today, the Love, Peace, Amen Foundation, along with all of you, are revolving around me. When I was a teenager, I used to attract people who wanted to beat me up and abuse me in some way, shape, or form. It was like I had a big sign that said, kick me. I just didn't know it was there. When I realized it was there, I took the thing off and I've never worn it again. I have a new sign. My new sign says, you are actually me and I know it. You're me and I know it. You may look different. You may smell different. You may be taller, shorter, heavier, wider, whatever the thing is, different color skin. But I know one thing for sure, for certain, ever since I opened up my heart. I know one thing for certain. You are me in disguise. And so I have to love you to the best of my ability. I have to help you to the best of my ability. I have to guide you to the best of my ability. It doesn't mean I have to live with you. It doesn't mean I have to stay with you. It doesn't mean I have to be with you in this context or that context. It just means that in whatever capacity I feel like I can uplift you, I can inspire you, I can encourage you. Like at the end of my book, I say power to you, not to me, to you. I have my own power. I want the power to go to you. I want to teach you about what lives inside you. I want you to have your own story, heal your diseasements, heal your fear, heal your anxiety, heal your neighborhood. And then I know I did everything I could do to make a difference on this planet and in my world, not the world, my world. Because there is no, people have these grand concepts and they pray for world peace, and that's a wonderful thing. But before you pray for world peace, pray for peace within yourself and then extend it into your own family and your own neighborhood. Because if you can't do that, there's no such thing as world peace. Then all you're doing is saying all those people around the world, they should have peace and they should stop warring and they should stop fighting. Take a look at yourself honestly and ask yourself if you're still fighting. Who are you fighting with? Because I will tell you, anxiety and the fear of anxiety has to do, and it'll take you some time to figure this out. It took me a long time to figure it out, but just a shortcut for anybody who wants to hear it. The day that attack no longer lives in you, fear makes you feel like, well, I don't want to have to kill him, but I might. I don't want to have to fight, but if I have to fight, I will. I will. And you're hiding that attack, like you got a knife and you're like, okay, I don't want to have to kill anybody, or I don't want to have to hurt anybody. I don't want to fight anybody. But if that person comes too close and gets me in a corner, I'm going to really hurt him. I'm going to really hurt him. If you have those thoughts inside, trust me, you will have anxiety. You will have fear. If you're holding that knife and you're just hiding and you're waiting for the next bad guy to come, trust me, you have fear. You're going to have anxiety. So letting go of that, and I know it's scary as hell to begin with, because you're like, oh, if I become vulnerable in my heart, they could come and hurt me. It's actually not true. The more relaxed you are, the more you can see your opponent coming. This is even true all the way into advanced martial arts, but this is true out in life. You see the bad guy coming, you can actually hug them before they hit you. I know it sounds crazy, but there was a guy that tried to, he was thinking about perhaps mugging us at 1 o'clock in the morning on the way back from wherever, Florida. And 1 o'clock in the morning, he comes out of the bushes. And right as he comes out of the bushes, he walks toward the car, and the girls are getting in the car, and I just immediately walk right to them and I put out my hand. And it's so funny, I've done this before to people who are thinking of attacking me. I put out my hand, and the next thing you know, they're shaking my hand, and I'm looking in their eyes and they're going, what the hell is happening? This guy's shaking my hand, and I see the panic all over their face. And then he says, well, I'm not going to mug you. I said, I know you're not. Change the whole dynamic. The last guy that did that with me in traffic, I got out of the car. He came up all aggressive. I put my hand out. Next thing you know, he's shaking my hand. I said, David. And he went, and he backed up. He didn't know what to say. It just throws people off. Anyway, learn to be vulnerable in your heart, not with everybody, not all the time, but learn to do it more often, especially at home when you're practicing your practices for inner peace. All right, without further ado, let's find some space in our room. Let's practice some Qigong. Let's give you some physical exercises to play with. All right? Okay, sometimes you're in stress. You have, anxiousness, anxiety is building, whatever. So before we get into some other movements that some of you are familiar with, I want you to check this breath out, and I want you to try it. We can use the hands too to emphasize this. But the emphasis on this one's actually going to be the breath. The hands are going to go up and down like that. So you're going to go up like this, and they go down like this. But the primary emphasis of this particular one I'm going to show you is not in the arms and the hands. Like sometimes if we do arms and hands, we do this very slow because the emphasis is on the chi, okay? We'll do that next. But this first one here, you're going to inhale through the nose. You have to do it slow enough because you're trying to breathe it into your belly. If you do it too fast, it will go to your chest. So let's try too fast once. We're going to go. And that's up into the lungs. That's not it. Let's do it one more time just so you can feel it. Go too fast, breathe in quick, lift the hands quick. Do you notice how you feel a little lightheaded? The oxygen and stuff goes right up to your head. You feel like a little bit like this, okay? We need to slow that down. So the hands also need to move slow. The breath needs to move slow through the nose. And if it moves slow enough, you're going to feel it come into the belly. So check it out. This is about an average speed here. Oh, I want to make this sound. Oh, like it's like a sigh, like oh. You do it like an HAW sound or a WHO sound, maybe WHOA, like that. Something like this. So you're oh. Oh, oh. Now also, we need to really emphasize the exhalation. So the exhalation needs to be a little longer than the inhalation. So we go again. Oh, oh. We can also sync it. Oh. This helps us get grounded into the legs and into the lower body and into the earth. Oh. Blow off the stress. Oh. Helps us get to a reset. Oh. 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 All right. Once we've done that, just come a little closer to the camera here. Hold yourself out, hands out at the side. Actually, back up for this one, first part. Hands out to the side. In general, this is called standing tree meditation, or sometimes it's called standing Wuji posture. Wuji essentially means practicing doing nothing in particular. Interesting name for it, actually, because once you get into the practice, there's a lot of particular things that we do here. But the idea is about standing still and eventually, not initially, eventually letting go of your attachment to all of that busyness going on in your mind. So to begin with, as a beginner, the only challenge you have here is to just stand still like this. Keep your knees somewhat bent. That's like juggling one ball, okay? All right, we're gonna try and juggle 2 balls though. Here comes the next ball. Inhale through the nose, breathe it into the belly. Exhale your breath through the nose. And at the end, if it feels like the breath is getting stuck, let it out through the mouth. So once again, we inhale through the nose. Slow, you're trying to raise it up through the belly and then actually let it out. When you get a little better at this, you're going to try and breathe it in sometimes and inhale through your nose, raise the belly, hold the breath in your belly for 1 second, 2 seconds, and then you're going to exhale the breath. This is called taking control over the breath. Okay, it's a simple way to describe what we're doing. Take control over your breath. Inhale through the nose. Breathe in the belly, which is hard to do to begin with. Hold the breath for a second and then let it out. You can let it all out through the mouth, or you can let some out through the nose, then the mouth. When you're ready, inhale. Exhale. Excellent. Now, march your feet like this and kind of wrap your feet, tap them on the ground. This is a practice of not just marching and doing exercise. This is actually a practice of stomping lightly the ground, which is called getting grounded and putting your stress into the ground. Some of the energy that is stuck in your lower belly that causes anxiety, we're actually telling it to go down to the feet. Okay, think about that for a minute. It's so simple, but this is why they do it. This is why it's done in Qigong practice and so on. One of the reasons, as you're stomping the feet lightly, and sometimes you'll see an exercise, I've taught it before in the 8 brocades called clicking the heels, very similar idea. You're wanting to stomp out your anxiety. So look, do we need to go do cardio? No, we don't, not in this case, although cardio is good for you and exercise is good for you. This has to do with lightly, don't hurt yourself at all, but this has to do with pounding, quote unquote, pounding the floor, putting the energy into the ground. You don't want to hurt ankles, knees, hips. You just want to try and dissipate your stress and your anxiety. Now, keep doing this with me for a little bit. Again, this is very different than aerobics or something where I'm being very light on the ball of my feet and I'm dancing, okay? This is the whole heel, the whole foot is kind of punching the floor. And if you keep doing this, okay, for say, whatever, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, watch what happens when we stop and go to standing tree meditation. It's going to be a very nice experience, okay? So you're pounding the floor like this. This is also great because you're using the back of your calf muscles and the back of your calf, right up in here, the calf muscle. This is called the gastrocnemius, and the gastrocnemius is considered to be like a second heart, and it pumps the blood from your legs back up to your lungs to get reoxygenated and then back to the heart. So that's another benefit of what we have going on here. Because most pain in the body, which you'll hear in the next workshop that I teach next weekend, most pain in your body is caused by blood qi stagnation. A lot of people's pain is caused by stuck blood and stuck qi. Now step your feet out to about shoulder width and hold yourself steady. Bend your knees a little. Put the arms out to help you balance this. Let the blood and let the qi just let it rise. And as it's rising, make sure you're seated and you're staying grounded, connected to the earth. It takes time to learn to be heavy like this, so to speak. It's not just about standing here. It's about what you're doing with your energy. It's about what you're doing with your mind. But to begin with, just try this on for size. Let your breath just keep doing what it's doing to calm itself down. Don't try and do anything in particular with your breath right now. Just let your body catch up with it. To begin with, I recommend you practice this exercise with eyes open for a while. Later on, when you get better at this meditation, because it's a form of meditation eventually, I recommend practicing it with the eyes closed, but not yet. You have to start with eyes open. Closing the eyes is juggling yet one more ball. All right, so now the legs may be getting tired from sitting here, etc., and we have some built up blood and chi stagnation. We're gonna tap this all the way down, outside, come up inside, go outside, tap, come down, come up inside, outside, go down. Just to wherever's comfortable for you to reach. Don't go past where you can reach. Now this exercise here is called Dao In, which means tapping. I'll tell you more about it in a minute. Let's keep tapping, get a little tired of tapping. Notice once again, we're doing an exercise where we go move, 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 move. And then we're going to go right back to our standing tree meditation, and we're going to stop. But we're not stopping yet. We're moving because anxiety has to do with blocked chi, stuck chi. We want to get the chi moving. We want to get the blood moving. We want to get the hormones moving, stress hormones like cortisol, and so on. We want to get it moving throughout our body, and we want to restore our breath. We restore all of that. It's amazing how great your mind will feel. Now, we got tired. Come back up here. Hold once again. Feet about shoulder width apart, maybe a little wider. Hold the floor a little bit with your feet. If you need to resituate, find your balance, please do. Arms are being held out a little bit as if I could put a little tennis ball in there. My hands are just hanging to the side. Upper body should be relaxed. It takes a while to learn how to do that. One way to cheat, lift the hands, let them drop on your thighs. This will start to teach you to relax the shoulders more and not hold so much tension in the shoulders. So lift, and then I just let my hands go. Lift, and then I let my hands go. Lift. And so sometimes when you're going to take this posture here and you feel like you're scrunching your neck and your shoulders, just lift the hands, let them drop. Lift, let them drop. Then bring the hands back out, and you're holding, and this is back to your standing tree meditation or standing Uji posture. Notice if this is changing your breath at all. It's starting to change my breath for sure. I can feel a warmth and so on moving up here through my body. That's the chi, that's also the blood. As time goes on, we can deepen this practice. I will show you a slightly deeper internal practice with this in a little bit when we come back to it. Right now, we're going to march this and shake this out. And we're going to do a little, this is clicking the heels. It's up, click, up, click, up, click. It's like that, but a little quicker. So I'm going like that. Try and find a rhythm with this. Click, 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 click. So a little bit different than what we were doing before. I'm stomping just the heel, lightly clicking or tapping the heel, like so. Very good. Bring your feet together. I'll show you an exercise that's a really good one for learning to relax that upper body and learning to strengthen the lower body at the same time. So I'm going to stand straight. I'm going to slide my right foot back at about 45 degrees on my toes and on the ball of my foot. At that point, I'm going to unwind my pelvis so that I turn a little bit sideways. I'm going to put my hands like this. This is like I'm on a surfboard. Okay, don't worry if this is perfect or not. The main idea is I don't want you to feel like you're going to fall over. So just adjust as you need to find a good foundation, and then, okay, I feel pretty good here. Don't feel like I'm going to fall over. Okay, so that's the first thing we want to do with this exercise. This exercise is called bamboo blows in the wind. The idea is that the roots are growing into the ground. So first we're just going to shift forward and we're going to shift back. Again, you're just checking your foundation. Shift forward, shift back. From this position now, I'm going to dip my head down, whatever's comfortable, but I'm going to dip my head down, stay close to my body, toward my back knee. I'm going to swing toward my front knee, and then I'm going to come back to my back knee. So it's just like a side-to-side swing. 1, 2, 1, 2. This time I'm going to try and go all the way around. So I go to my left knee. Be careful of going back, but this is the direction you're going, leaning back a little. And then down to the back knee, come to the front knee, and I'm making a circle now in this direction. I'm now going to change the direction. I'm going to make the circle go back the other way. First back toward my back side. Come around, dip down, swing here, and go around the other way. So I'm making these circles. And again, now if you understand that, I can swing back and forth, swing back and forth, and then I make a circle all the way around. Then I go back the other way, all the way around. Notice how I'm hanging my upper body here, being relaxed with the upper body, letting it just hang. I'm trying to find that fluidity. And I'm playing with my balance here a little bit. Because as I shift here, if I go any more this way, I'm going to lose some balance. Then I shift my weight to the front leg, get my balance back. I shift my balance to the back leg. And then, for example, if I keep going that way, I go this, come around here. This is a good one to get lost in for a little while. Bring the feet up together. We're going to do one more on the other side. I'm going to slide my left foot back to my surfboard. I'm going to unwind my legs. My hands come out. I'm on my surfboard with my right foot facing the computer. From this position here, I want to feel that fluidity in my upper body. So even if I just start to move here a little, moving my upper body, and then I start to lower and I swing a little. And then here I shift my stance forward. I shift back, checking my weight both directions. I also bend down. From this position, I have a swing. I swing all the way around, leaning toward my back. Bring my weight to my back leg, shift my weight to my front leg, shift my weight to my back leg, go around in somewhat of a circular fashion. Trying to keep the upper body relaxed as possible. Focusing on your breath, inhaling and exhaling as it feels right to do so. Usually you would breathe in on this up movement and exhale on the down movement. I would inhale on that up movement, exhale on the down. And then I'm going to come back to position here. My legs will go out wider than shoulder width. Bend knees slightly. Don't worry about your breath, but hands go up slow. It's called a waterfall. I told you I would show you. It's like you're standing in a waterfall. The column of water is coming down and through you. Because we've been moving a bunch right there, I'm going very slow. We're doing this exercise to emphasize Qi as opposed to breath. They're the same, but subtly different. So I'm moving slowly, mindfully, as if I'm pressing down. For example, you could see that you're standing in a swimming pool. The color is red in the swimming pool. And here you're making the water in the swimming pool come down, down, down. The red water is going down, 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 down. You're putting it down the drain. You're putting it down to the bottom of the pool, and you just continue moving it this way. Slow, slow. This time, inhale on the up. Exhale on the down. You're going to make an SH sound. You're going to go shh. Get it completely out. Pause, then breathe in when you're ready. You come up, then slowly shh. Wait, wait, wait. Hold out the exhale, then inhale. Shh. Wait till you're ready to breathe in. Exhale. Shh. This time, inhale. Touch your middle fingers together. On the way down, exhale. Shh. Hold out the exhale. Inhale. Let go of the sound, SH, and just relax your breath. Just let your breath go back to normal. Let it do whatever it's going to do. Move slowly. Middle fingers touching each other. Press when you get to the bottom. Hold that energy down. If you feel like inhaling there, you can, but don't emphasize the breath. Just emphasize right now the chi, pushing that energy down. And come out, march your legs. Up, down, nice, easy. Swing the arms. Step out here and twisting and turning here. Lifting the back heel to get this nice twist going, and it's just nice and easy, nice and easy. Okay, we call this one the gentle drum. If you ever seen one of those little drums, you swing it side to side. Should have brought mine in today. Maybe I'll bring it next time. And one of the students just sent me one, and you twist it, and you get these little balls that hit on each side of the drum. This exercise has also been called, in more past times, knocking on the door of life. I've heard it referenced as. So, twisting here, allowing the hands to wrap and tap here, whatever sort of part of your low back there, mid back you can reach. Be very light with it, very relaxed with it. Once again, you're going to see a common theme today here where we're moving, because think about anxiety, right? It's like nervous energy. So this works really well for anxiety, stress. You go from movement to stillness. So we're going to do that again. So here's another exercise where we're going movement, and then we're going to go right back to stillness. We're going to harness that energy and try and get in touch with, hey, what's happening to my state of consciousness? What's happening to my mood? I think it's changing. Let me check in with it. That's going to be our standing tree meditation, okay? So we unwind, hold the floor, kind of like wiggle your feet to kind of dig into the floor. Even if it's slippery, a slippery floor, you want to imagine your energy going down into the ground. It typically takes many months, even years of practice to really understand what the heck that feels like. Certainly did for me anyway. Exhale your breath. Inhale, exhale your breath. In this version, I'm just letting my arms hang. So rather than opening up my armpits for this one, I'm just letting my arms hang. Wherever they hang, they hang. Wherever my hands lie, they lie. Holding the floor with my feet, knees are slightly bent. I'm watching my breath and using my breath as I need to. Like if I feel like I need to breathe in, I'm breathing in. If I feel like I need to breathe out, I'm breathing out. Because I need to sort of manage this posture. A minute ago, I was moving a lot, and now I'm still. So I need to use my breath to do what feels right, to all of a sudden go from movement to now I'm standing still, very still. I'm trying to stand as still as I can. Remember, knees need to stay slightly bent. It's very tempting to lock out your knees. And initially you'll lock them out to like make sure you're still. But then you have to realize, oh, I need to relax the knees, because otherwise you're going to cut off your blood circulation, and that's not good. Inhale, exhale, stay with that one. Make this sound now, a little bit of a sighing sound, but as opposed to like an ah sound, this one is a oh, like WH or H sound, HAW again, something like that sound. Oh. 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 Good. And shake it out, knees up and down like this. And let's bring ourselves up to a seated position. I'm going to show you the first part of this from seated, and then we'll take it into a standing pose. This will just help break things up for people a little bit who maybe aren't used to standing the whole time, and so on and so forth. So, and help you get closer to your water. You can come take a sip of your water. Okay, now there is a breath. It is taught many different ways. If you look it up on YouTube, you go see some gurus, teachers, yoga teachers, Qigong teachers, whatever. You're going to see this taught very differently. So take it for what it's worth. This is my practice. I've been to see various people with this, but I have a particular master who taught me how to do this. I hold him in very high regard. Anyway, this is how I would teach it to you, therefore. So a lot of teachers will say you need to do certain things with balancing out the breath. It needs to be an equal in-breath, out-breath. Other teachers will say you have to do this breath very quickly, shouldn't be really done slow, etc. But it really depends on what your purpose is. So what is our purpose? Our purpose is to help you manage your mood, manage your emotional state, and get clear on the way to a meeting. Again, dealing with stress, dealing with anxiety, etc. If you take the breath further, you can use it to detox emotions. You can do it to awaken Kundalini. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. But for our purposes, I want to teach you what I like to call mini breath of fire. Mini breath of fire. Breath of fire is to the belly. Stress is when, you probably heard the story, but stress is when we're all up in our chest and we're breathing to our lungs and we're mouth breathers and all of this kind of stuff. So when we breathe through the nose, slowly we will begin to activate the lower belly. Sometimes we slow inhale, exhale. Breath of fire is a little bit different. I'm going to demonstrate it for you as best I can. I recommend you take your hands, you place them flat like this on your belly so that you can feel what's happening around your navel center. So first, we're going to do it wrong, briefly, so to speak, wrong. I'm going to breathe all the way up here, and I'm going to do that by breathing quick. You do not want to see that happening while you're doing this practice. So whether we're going slow or we're going fast, you don't want to see this happening. That's not it. Okay. The belly is, the idea is for it to go up and down. So we're going to start real easy. It's a sniff in through the nose. And then blow it out. Sniff in, sniff out, so to speak. Sniff in, blow it out. So it's now, beginner's version, I recommend you do approximately, you can do it exact. If you do it exact, you'll be less confused. You go inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. That's 4 rounds. And then you take a regular inhale through the nose, exhale to catch up with yourself. So let's check it out. We're going to go like this. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Now long breath in, exhale your breath. And we're going to do that again, regular breathing. Inhale. Now we're going to go back to the pump because there's a pump to this. And if you noticed, like I'm getting hot right away. Right away, it's going to crank up your temperature if you're doing it right. So we go inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and then full long inhale, exhale. All right. So this is one method to practice it. Make note of it. Make a little, jot some notes later. This recording will be up on YouTube, so you'll be able to see it later as well. Another version, which has to do with a little less counting. Once you understand the pump of the movement, we're going to go pump, 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 however many times. And then when you need to rest, you inhale, exhale. Now, I got to tell you one more detail, and then I'm going to let you practice it for a minute or two here. So the other detail is this. Mini breath of fire versus more maximal breath of fire. Listen to me do mini breath of fire. Point is, you can't hear me. You can hardly notice I'm doing anything. I can do this on the plane. I can do this in the car. I can do this in a business meeting. No one has any idea. So you have to do it very slow, very minimally, but it is the same puffing kind of exercise. Short inhale, exhale, all happening through the nose. The more on the extreme end of breath of fire would be something more like this. Give me a second to move some of that saliva that's getting built up. Would be more like this. So you see how my body's shaking like this, but it's like my belly is going up and down, up and down, up and down. Now, when you do it to that level, which my main goal in this particular program is just to teach you the initial way of doing it, but just understand that when you do it a little bit more significantly, like the way I just showed you, for those of you who've been training for a while, that is going to become weird breathing where you're going to start going, you're going to be confused about your breath. And I just want to let you guys know that that is because of the congestion in your nervous system, the resistance in your nervous system, the stress in your nervous system, etc., the emotions that are stuck there. But our primary concern today is mini breath fire. So now that you understand that, it can be done while seated, but we're going to do it while standing now and show you standing practice. Okay. All right. We'll do this practice and then we'll take just a mini break and we'll give people get a chance to go to the bathroom, get a sip of water, whatever you need to do. Maybe, 3 minutes or something. So, but let's do this practice first. Okay. So we're here. This practice, again, first of all, for those of you that haven't trained with me before, haven't done Qigong before, getting grounded is just an amazing practice to reduce stress. But it takes time because it's not just about standing the body down It's now about getting the mind and the energy to catch up with the body. But the beauty of working with the body is that you can take a posture like this, which we call like sitting on a horse or horse stance, somewhat bent knees, somewhat feet, somewhat wide, sitting a little bit, just kind of, as opposed to being very tall, just squatting a little, okay? So now it's like I'm sitting on a horse. This will take some time to get used to and strengthen your legs, but I highly, highly recommend it, because the moment that your energy system catches up with let me say it this way. The moment that your mind catches up with the new body posture and the energy shifts, you're just going to be in a very different, much more relaxed state. But that will take time and practice. But we start here. So in this exercise, the first thing we need to do is practice a little bit of grounding. The second part of the exercise, we let the wrists float up. It's as if the puppet strings are pulling them up. They float. The elbows are hanging kind of heavy, like so, drooping. From this position, I'm going to roll and turn my hands so it now looks like I'm like hugging a tree. But instead of arms up, which is what a stressed out person is going to think to do, you want to let elbows droop. So I'm going to hold this position here. From this position, I'm going to take middle fingers and I'm going to imagine plugging them in. You can leave them apart or you can actually touch them. But now you also want to do the same with the other fingers. So you might take all of those fingers that touch and touch them. Bend the middle finger a little bit, touch those fingers. And then the thumb and the pinky, they're imagining you're making that connection. They're not touching, but you're imagining that connection. You can also bring your hands just a little bit apart, which is often how it's practiced as well. And you're holding. This traditional practice is called standing like a post. It is a challenging practice. When I first started doing these kinds of things at about 25 years old, this particular type of practice at 25 years old, I had a lot of stress and so on. And wow, my shoulders would just scream whenever I did it. So you're new to this, just go like that. Go to like that. Okay? Because if this bothers your shoulders, it shows you how much stress you hold there. All right? So a simple way of putting that. So we let these float. We plug in. And now we're going to combine two practices. We're going to juggle a few balls. And we're probably juggling like at least 3 balls now. Now you're going to try your breath of fire. It's in through the nose, out through the nose. We're going to go inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Now we're going to breathe in deep. Exhale. For right now, I'm going to let out a sighing sound. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale deep. Exhale. Sighing sound. Let your hands come down like this. I'm getting very hot in my body. Heat comes with the territory. It will eventually shift and things will balance out. But initially, heat is a very good thing. And it has a healing quality to it. We're going to point our arms straight up in the air like this. If you feel dizzy or lightheaded at all, please set your arms down. If you have shoulder issues or something, you can't reach this high, just reach to wherever you can. If you have a shoulder that's not working very well, reach the other shoulder, okay? But hold the hands like so. If it helps to support you, you can bring your hands together like they do in yoga. So from here, this is like the rocket, okay? You're basically telling, this is called enhanced standing tree meditation. You can see this in my book. In fact, I'm standing on top of a very large tree on the side of a cliff in Colorado doing this particular pose. If you have the book or happen to get the ebook or the physical book and you see me standing, I'm literally holding this posture on top of a big tree. We'll tell you that story maybe another time. But from this position here, inhale, exhale, maybe I'll tell you a little later. Inhale, exhale, just deep. One more inhale, exhale. Oh, then let the hands lightly, slowly drop. Hold your feet, screw them into the floor, hold yourself still. Let the energy once again move up through your body. When we held our arms up there, okay, after doing the first practice with breath of fire, holding our arms like hugging a tree, this is circulating the energy, moving the energy and coiling it, going upwards. We held our arms up in the sky. We did breath of fire before that. All that energy, this is saying go up through the spine, go up through the chakra ladder, etc. Technically, the Tai Chi pole. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. And now we drop the hands. We let the energy fall back. Some's going up, some is going down. Just managing and watching the breath and seeing what did that experience create. Go ahead and take 3 slow breaths. Inhale, exhale, like that. And then go back to pounding the floor just a little bit, marching on the floor. All right, great job. Okay. We're just going to have a tiny break, just enough to go to the restroom, a little restroom break for the teacher, if not for anyone else. And we'll be back. Okay, so let's just take a 3-minute break or so, and we're just going to come right back to the practice. I'll see you here momentarily. Okay, and I'm back. So welcome back to those of you who are back. So I was just teaching you a practice here with a few details that some of you know more about, some of you don't. So I want to give some of you who don't know about it a few extra details about some things. So first of all, let's talk about your inner makeup a little bit. Even if you've heard this before, it's very important. Makeup. You are hardwired. It's very different than most of us were taught, but this is something I've been going around teaching now for some years. You are hardwired for greatness. I had no idea I was hardwired for greatness. And even when I met spiritual teachers or different coaches or whatever who told me that I was made for greatness or something, I was like, really? Like, really? You sure? I know you did it, or he did it, or she did it, but really, me? I don't know. And anyway, each one of us has to prove to ourselves who we are. And a lot of people tend to think about that in terms of outward manifestations. Like, am I a baseball player? Am I a Qigong master? Am I a cook? But I always laugh when people ask me, what do you do? I laugh, I giggle. I go, what do I do? I do so many things. And I'm a Qigong master. I'm a medical Qigong master. I have distance healing programs. I have live seminars. I teach Qigong. I teach martial arts. I produce, I edit, I write. I do all this different stuff to put forth these kinds of programs and help people change their lives. So how do you sum that up in 2 words? What do you do? I'm me. That's how you sum it up. I'm me. Be you. You be you. I'll be me. So be you, find you, discover you. But I'm going to tell you something about you and I, what we have in common. Some people call it the Buddha within you. Some people call it the Christ within you. I'm going to use this chart from chakrajourney.com. And it's one I've had for years. It just makes like a nice wall hanging. Anyway, so we have our own chart for our certification program. It's just a little too small to show you here. And in the Taoist system, we focus on 9 chakras. This is the Indian system here where you see 7. So we have the 8th up here and the 9th down here in Taoist practices, but we don't need to really worry about that today. The main idea here I want to go into, and of course I go into all kinds of details in this in the certification program and seminars and so on I teach, but here for a rough idea for people so you have some understanding. So the chakra system sits on what is called the Tai Chi pole. Now, the 8th chakra, which sits up here above the 7th chakra, is considered to be a prism. And so when light shines through a prism, what colors do you get? Have you ever looked at a rainbow before? You get the same colors as what you see in the chakra system. So the chakra system, these are the same colors that you get in the rainbow. Wow, that should be a mind blower. I know it was to me when I first discovered it. Now, I didn't even know what these chakras were until I had that healing experience that I told you guys about, where, well, I told you some healing experiences. There was one in particular that I had specifically where this heart center opened up dramatically. And again, I didn't know anything about chakras at the time. And my head was filled with emerald greens and very bright yellows. And the bright yellows are related to that solar plexus energy. And my spine was pretty much bad all throughout, but I had a big curve through the area of the back side of my heart chakra. So anyway, huge opening there. And each one of these energy centers has to do with states of consciousness, states of mind. Very briefly, if your energy is trapped in your root chakra, you are stuck in survival mode. If your energy is stuck in your navel center area primarily, you are focused on addictions, you're focused on food, you're focused on comfort, you're focused on pleasure versus pain. You're still worried about pain, you try and avoid it, you try and find pleasure, but as you try and find pleasure, you find pain. This is also the seat of the subconscious mind, and this is related to all of your relationships and the stress you feel in relationships and the drama that unfolds in relationships whenever you watch any of these TV programs that are playing out there that gets everybody's attention of whose fault it is and who blamed who and who's sick now and who's going to die next. That all happens in this level of this energy center. Now check this out very briefly, but very important. Imagine, look at how many energy centers we have above this one, guys. How many? Look at them all. And there's even another one, okay? And in some of the secret schools, they say there's 12. But who can even juggle 7? Check this out, because most human beings are stuck here. Now, some human beings have made it this far because there's a journey going up this ladder. If you could, very simple, but imagine heaven lives here and imagine coming down. Ever heard the reference called the fall in the Bible? It was a fall in frequency. It was a fall in energy. They didn't necessarily tell you that in certain schools, but this is a fall in energy, a fall, therefore, in consciousness. So guess what? Going back to God, going back to source, etc., going back to Tao is climbing back up this ladder. And check it out. Most human beings are stuck here. You want to know where disease happens in the body? It happens here. It all starts here. Disease in the body happens here. So if you want to get out of disease and you want to awaken yourself and so on and so forth, then you have to go up the ladder. So this is exactly what I did, although I didn't know that was what I was doing at the time. But I awakened those yellows. I awakened that green, and check it out. How many levels up is that? That's 2 levels up from over here. Now, some people are here in everyday world, and this is all about competition right here. This is competition center. This is the competition center. Okay, until you really own your power. When you own your own power and realize it has nothing to do with anybody else, guess what? It moves you up into the heart center. And that's when I said to you, you and me, we're one and the same. That's when you get into the heart center. Going just quickly here, heart center, if you learn to love and, be open in your heart, then you're doing what I'm doing right now, which is talking and expressing these teachings and this love and this understanding from the throat. And when we train the third eye, which is the this 6th center, I told you that in my book, I performed this particular practice. This is called enhanced tree meditation. This is on the edge of a cliff. These trees are just below the cliff. This is on the side of the cliff. And when I stood on this massive log, tree was creaking, and I could not get to this position. In fact, I couldn't even stand on the log. it was cracking to the point where I felt like I was going to tumble down the mountain. So I walked away 3 times, and then I decided I have to do this. I just felt I needed to. So I got up there very carefully. I tiptoed because it was a challenge, you know. Anyway, behind me is a cliff. If I fall, you guys wouldn't see this picture. I know on some level it's stupid. I don't recommend it. I don't necessarily say I would do it today, but I did it. And I got up there and this thing started creaking. And the more I lifted my hands, the more that it creaked and cracked at the bottom. And I had to become, this is why I did it, okay? I did it so super still that I managed to get those hands up there and photograph that. And I can't really show it to you here, but if you look at the book, the part that I want you to pay closest attention to, which is the reason that I did the photograph, which is why I pulled it off, and I knew I could do it, and I knew it was meant to be. Look at my face. That is called concentration to a max. When you become concentrated to a max and you're super focused, what I would call super focused, we're talking about the third eye now, okay? So notice all these levels that live above the average person's everyday life. The average person is stuck in, I'm afraid, I have to survive. They're stuck in Thanksgiving dinner and my family and this drama with this person and that person, and this family member is not well and that family member is not well, and who's sick tomorrow. And like, believe me, I get it. I've lived this for a long time. But when you start actualizing the third center, you're getting up off your butt and you're practicing Qigong. You're no longer willing to be a victim to your mood. You're no longer willing to be a victim to your old relationships. You're no longer willing to be a victim of circumstances. You come to realize, I'm going to change my mood, my state, my attitude, everything. Listen, it's the only thing you have any control over. If you do not change your state, you cannot control what happens when you get to the airport. You have to control what happens before you leave your house. You have to control your mood, your state of mind. This is where your power is. And what this does is it takes you out of anxiety. It takes you out because fear lives down here. When it rises to here and gets shoved back down, that's called depression. When it rises to here and starts to get right up in this area right here, you get anxiety and people start freaking out. This is associated with the kidneys. This is associated with the adrenals, are controlled by the root chakra. They fire the adrenals. This fires the adrenals and the kidneys, and it gives you this wonky feeling called anxiety. And what the energy really wants to do is rise up and become expansive, but you're afraid to let it. I was there once. When you're on the side of the fence called fear, you're terrified that on the other side of the fence, it's going to be worse. The truth is, the other side of the fence is better, but you can't see it. So you just have to take the risk. It's like jumping out of an airplane with a parachute, knowing that you're going to be okay. You have to convince yourself that you're going to be okay and take the risk and go and do it. All right. So anyway, training the focus, very important. Training the breath, very important. Getting your mind around these kinds of things. Now, let's give you another one, and let's give you something. Let me say this briefly before we go back to standing and practicing. So this is related to the sixth chakra. The sixth chakra, is it above or below the other ones? Should be obvious. It is above the other ones, which actually means it has dominion over the other ones. But if your attention goes to sleep here, in India, they put the dot right there. If your attention goes to sleep here, your awareness goes to sleep right here. You're not a being that knows how to focus, that trains their focus, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you're not doing that, then check this out. It's called being asleep, And the moment you go to sleep, the moment your consciousness is asleep, I'm going to tell you who and what's going to run your robot. You're going to be like a robot, and what's going to run your robot is this right here. All of this will run it. This is called your past. This is called your family's DNA. This is called your family's moods and your attitudes and your mental constructs, your beliefs, etc. It's all going to run the show. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. But check this out. If you decide to put whatever you're doing, you put it down and you go stand up in the middle of the room, that's called exercising your will. And that's using the third center. And that's starting to use your sixth center. Let's take control over the control tower now. This is the control tower. Let's take control over it. All right. Rub hands together. Start rubbing your hands together. So there's just a question here that says, how about external powers running your robot if you go to sleep? Does that occur? Yes, absolutely. It's occurring every day. You're being brainwashed left and right. But if you are being brainwashed left and right, it's our own fault. Okay, that's the best way I can say that simply and succinctly. Okay. Yes, there are powers who want to control you. Of course there are. They want to sell you Levi's jeans. They want to sell you whatever they want to sell you. The world is run by money and power. People who are not living in their heart chakras, they're living in their third chakra, for example, and they want to control the world. So those people are warring and they're fighting, etc. You don't have to worry about them. You have to focus on yourself. You have to change yourself. We don't live here forever anyway. And my belief is that whatever you cultivate here spiritually, keep rubbing your hands. This is a self-soothing exercise, but it also has Qigong meaning to it. I believe that wherever you go, you're going to take yourself with you. And I've had the knowingness since I was a kid, very little. I had the knowingness that I wanted to leave this lifetime in the greatest, most deep state of peace that I possibly could. And if you follow the Buddhist idea of reincarnation, it would make a lot of sense why you would want to do that. But I'm not even necessarily saying that you should or shouldn't believe in that. I'm just saying that I highly recommend taking deep peace with you wherever you go, whether it's now or later. Ladies, take your left hand, put it over the right. You're going to take your right thumb and put it on the lower rim of your belly button. Guys, you're going to do the opposite. Left thumb goes to the lower rim, the belly button. Right hand goes on top. This area right here, okay, is called lower dantian. In Japanese martial arts, it is called the hara. It's spelled H-A-R-A, but the R is pronounced like a D. Martial arts masters, Zen masters, Buddhist practitioners, Zen Buddhist practitioners, Kendo masters, etc. Guess what? They all focus here. They take the noisy mind, the busy mind, just lift your hands up like this. Noisy mind, busy mind. They slowly move it down. You can see this is like our waterfall exercise. And then if they have a deeper understanding, you'll see different holds down here. But if you have a deeper understanding of this, you can hold left thumb, lower rim of navel center for the guys, vice versa for the ladies. I'm going to hold that. Now, when you first do this, what is this doing? Well, hardly anything. If you don't practice this for 15 minutes at a time here and there, or at least 5 minutes here and there, or at least once a week during Qigong class with me on Thursdays, whatever the case may be online, whenever you're practicing it, if you don't do it, you'll never discover the power that lives right here in your belly. But I'm going to tell you something, 37 years I've been practicing these practices. And when I first started, I had no concept of the power that lived here in my belly. I was too busy being run around by my monkey mind. But all of the masters that I studied with, of all the different Qigong practices, martial art practices, meditation practices, they have taught me about the lower dantian. They have taught me, that's what it's called in Chinese medicine. They taught me about what's called the hara. Where you place your hands, your attention begins to grow. Let me say it again. Where you place your hands, your attention begins to grow. But I'm going to tell you something else. And I hope you grasp this. I hope you hold on to this. I hope you practice this. This is so important. This area of your being right here is so important. Western medicine, they are discovering we don't just have one brain, we have three. If you haven't heard that yet, go do some research on it. We have not one brain, we have three brains. The first one is considered to be in the head. The second one is considered to be in your gut, right where we're holding our hands. Chinese medicine has been calling this area a brain on the level that they have for 5,000 years. And we have a third one, and that is at the level of the heart. In Chinese medicine and Taoist practices, those areas are called elixir fields. They are called dantians. A few years back, and actually it's still the case in Western medicine, that's a bunch of hocus pocus, right? Well, not really. Your EKG, where they measure the heart, is measuring the heart because the field of energy coming off of the heart. The ECG, the electroencephalograph, is measuring your brain activity because of the energy coming off of the top of your head, your brain. It's a field of energy. And now guess what? More and more science is turning to what is happening in the gut. And they're saying that there is more, for example, serotonin production, which is the happy hormone, 90% more happening in your gut than what is happening from your brain in your head. So ladies, gentlemen, please get in touch with your lower dantian. When we practice Qigong, even when we're doing a moving practice like Waterfall, for example, and we're bringing the energy from all around and then bringing it down through the central column, down into the lower dantian. This is the vicinity. This is the area we're bringing it into. This is the first seat of power in your body. Learn to own it if you desire. This will reduce your stress. This will help you get grounded. This particular still exercise, still meditation, this is not for those of you who have anxiety. It's not the first practice to go to until you lie down in bed. The next time you lie down in bed and you're feeling anxiety, I want you to hold your hands here until the anxiety changes. When you learn some of the other movement practices, breathing practices, etc., you can then challenge yourself with this practice. And to make it easier for some of you, instead of standing here still and feeling all nervous, twiddling your thumbs, check it out what we're going to do before we leave this practice behind. Begin your mini breath of fire. So you're stressed out, you go outside, you stand by a tree, and you begin. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. And whenever you need to, you take a rest, you inhale, you exhale. Make sure knees are staying slightly bent so as to not cut off your blood circulation. Inhale, exhale. Shake your hands out and then reach up here without breath. If you forget all the exercises today, Remember this one. Don't forget this one. Sink your weight. This is called the waterfall. Such an easy practice. No contraindications for this practice. Works very well. Different ways to practice it. The first way is you're only focusing on the movement of qi. You're walking down the anxious qi and you're settling it down into the ground. That's called getting grounded. Taking the up here, reaching up into the heavens. As you're bringing down the heavens, which this exercise is sometimes called, you are washing away the debris, you're washing away the anxiety, the stress, and you're putting it in the ground. One way to think about this is your hands are like magnets. And as they come down here over your body, they start pulling out all of the discomfort, all of the stress, all of the anxiousness. Put it in the ground, come back up. Big, expansive. This comes down through what is called the Tai Chi pole. Again, the Tai Chi pole is what the chakras sit on. It is considered to be a central column of light. When you're ready here, you feel like you want to inhale. So you inhale. Then you exhale here. Just regular exhale. Can be through the mouth. Can be a little bit through the nose as well if you desire. Should also be completely through the nose. In yoga, they pretty much do everything in and out through the nose. Qigong is a little different. And there are reasons for that, but I won't get into them right now. Letting out your breath and almost like making a sighing sound here. All right, going to go to this exercise, which I believe I taught you last week as well. Some of you have seen it before. It's an excellent exercise to get a lot of nice movement going in the body. The hands are going up this way. We're closing the hands, we're arching back, a little bit of a stretch. We're going to bend the knees, both hands, either one on top of the other or both side by side. They're going to imagine like sending energy up through the groin area and up the spine. I'm going to come up this way. It's done very slow, very relaxed, methodical. And I'm going to send. If we put one hand on top of the other, we get more of a shape that is similar to the spine. In other words, a smaller movement there. And then that goes right up through that area there. Inhale here, exhale here. Oh. Inhale, exhale. Oh. 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 Here now we have an inhale. Here we have exhale. Oh. Here we have inhale. Here we have exhale. Oh. Here we have inhale. Here we have exhale. Oh. You may notice as they're getting bigger. Second part of the exercise, we're going to swing like this, like a monkey. All right. First part of the exercise, I do not want to go too far away from my body. This will be bad for my lower back. I want to stay close to my lower body. I just kind of go here, or close to my body, just to here. And then I'm going to come up and reach, stretch. I'm going to start to bend this way. As I do, I'm going to bend my knees, reaching that way. I'm going to swing 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't matter what direction you were going in. The fourth one, you swing all the way around. So 1, 2, 3. The fourth time, I swing all the way around. I want to go slow, easy, bend knees on the way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around. Now, it's very easy to just kind of pull your upper body and not use your lower. You don't want to do that. Make sure you're using your lower body. You're coming up. You're feeling that through your whole body. The core is staying somewhat taut. I go 2, 3, 4. I come around. Here, when I'm swinging, I want to keep my core somewhat taut. I don't want to just hang here. Make sure the core is working. So maybe for some of you, you only want to hang about this far. Okay, and come up and around. 1, 2, 3, and come around. 1, 2, 3, come around. Now, for those of you, when you're ready, because it's going to be juggling another ball, it gets kind of tricky. You're going to inhale here, but only when you're ready to add the breath. You inhale, for those of you who want to do it. Then here you're exhaling. You exhale the whole time until your exhale finishes. Then you're coming up. Inhale on the up. Exhale on the down. Inhale on the up. Exhale on the down. Inhale on the up. Exhale on the down. Inhale up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Power up here. That is going to take some time to get that coordination, but that is why this exercise makes an excellent exercise for reducing stress, because this exercise is going to give you a lot to think about. There's a lot of balls to juggle in that. This exercise, I call it around the world. I've never actually seen another name for it. It came from the Japanese Qigong in Japan. Rather than calling it Qi like they do in China, they call it Qi. And it's actually a Qigong, Japanese Qigong practice. So this is tapping here, closed fist, tapping lightly here, wrapping, tapping, then back here, patting, tapping, wrapping, etc. Flat hands like we did earlier. Remember, stress and anxiety has to do with stuck energy. So keep it moving. Keep your breath moving. Keep your fear moving. Keep your blood moving. Disease is about stagnation in the blood, stagnation in the lymphatic system. Keep it moving. Come up, go right back into this technique that we call in my school the gentle drum. Again, I've seen it most recently as knocking on the door of life, something like that. Anyway, twisting, nice, easy, should feel relaxed, no stress here. If you have stress, but no stress in doing the exercise. Should be relaxed. Don't swing too fast. Nothing. Just whatever feels good to you to get some blood and chi circulating. I like to lift the heel here because it takes the pressure off of the joints, the knees, the hips. If you leave the foot flat and you twist just a little too much, your ankles, your hips, your knees, they may not like it. But if you twist like this and just turn, it makes it very easy to get a little bit more movement, rotation, and feels a lot better to me personally. Then inhale here, exhale. Inhale deep through the nose, hold the breath for a second, and exhale. Inhale deep, hold the breath, exhale. Anxiety, your fear is in your anxiety, your fear is in a certain state, okay, fear state. And when you start changing your breath, you will change the fear state. It just may take time. It may take 10 minutes, it may take 15, it may take an hour, it may take you all day some days, but you have to keep going. And once you understand and once you know that fear is just a state, it's an energetic state, it's an emotional state, it's a state of stress that the endocrine system and the energy system, the brain and the nervous system have helped you to produce. When you know that it's all biological, you realize, hey, I have the power over my biology. That's what my book is all about. That's what my teachings are all about. Gaining control over your own biology, which interestingly enough connects you to all of your relationships, all of the people around you, your jobs, your careers. There's nothing it doesn't touch, your biology, because your biology has a smell to it, it has a vibration to it, has a resonance to it, and it influences everybody and everything around you. And you're like a magnet, and you are going to be magnetized to that space, wherever it is, to those same people, to those same places, those same dynamics, those same situations. You want to change your life, you have to change it from the inside out. Yeah, there's certain things you go to the outside and you got to change and so on. But listen, best as I can share it with you. Listen carefully if you want to catch it. Change from the inside. That's where your control is. That's where your self-mastery is. That's where your deep inner peace lives. And if you find it, and you find your humor, which took me a while to find, to rediscover, because I lost it in my teenage years. Took me a while to rediscover. When you rediscover your humor, guess what? You can share it with other people. When you rediscover your inner peace, you can share it with other people, etc., etc. Finishing out like we started, movement, 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 and then we're going to finish with stillness. Remember that first breath I showed you? Inhale through the nose, hold it there, then like you're just blowing it off. I showed it to you in the beginning with a lifting and a dropping of the arms, but this is the same breathing pattern. Inhale, and then like you're blowing wind, and you want to contract your gut a little bit when you do that. It's almost like trying to whistle, but the whistle's not coming through. Something like that. Now, this is not a breath to continue all day long. It's just a breath to do 5, 6, 7 times. When you're feeling stress and anxiety, it will blow some of that off. You may notice that it's getting easier to twist and turn. You may feel a little bit more warmed up and fluid right now, some of you. Some of you may still feel stiff, whatever is going on. Let that unwind. Hold your feet. We're going to go for the movement where we open up the armpits a little bit, like we're holding a ball there. So we're creating a little bit of a frame. The fingers are fanning out a little. You want to imagine, later you just feel it, but you want to imagine your almost like your hands have some degree of reverse magnets going on with the legs, almost like they're being pushed out here and away from the body, like so. Straighten the spine as much as possible, tuck in the tailbone, not so much that your pelvis moves forward too much, but so that your tailbone goes straight down into the ground. I want you to check in with yourself right now. How do you feel in comparison to how we started? I'm guessing you feel some blood flow and some changes in temperature and so on and so forth. And when I leave you all, you're probably going to notice even more how much you are altered from these practices. Watch your breath, notice your breath. Again, if you're a beginner, I recommend practicing eyes open. As soon as you become confident with holding your posture and holding your position, for those of you who've been doing it for a while, I ask you to close your eyes, start to turn inward. And those of you who've been trained to do this, you know, we bring our attention to this area of the third eye. We then bring our attention down to the navel center into our lower dantian, or what is called the hara. As mentioned in Japanese martial arts, we extend that mindset down into the floor through our feet. That's what keeps us grounded and connected. So for those of you that haven't learned that yet, in time, these are things that you can learn to go into deeper places within yourself, to make deeper shifts, change your mood, change your state, all that good stuff. Inhale, exhale. March that out. Feet go out wide past the shoulders. Reach up big like this. Hold your arms. So this is not this one where we came in close. This is like we're holding wide. We're getting ready for a waterfall. We're picking up the heavens, and we are going to sink our weight, and we're going to bring this down. I'm going to change my palms slightly with this one so that they go more forward. And like you're putting that and extending that out in front of your feet, and you're pressing the energy down. So similar to waterfall, coming up like this, then we're turning the hands forward, pushing self, energy, mind into the ground. You want to hold that heavy posture for a moment where you kind of sink and you're the heaviest that you know how to be there for a second or two. Then you come up. We can add an inhale there as we're ready to start to breathe a little, and we exhale here. Again, hold that weighted position. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then go ahead and just tap it down. Eyes. Go like this with your fingers, like you're flicking water off with your fingers. Rush, pull, throw, pull, throw, rush. Pull the energy off your head, out of your hair, your ears, massage, rub, kind of tug a little on your ears. Drop your hands, throw it to the floor. Find your breath for just a second here. Find one good breath. One more good breath. Lastly, before we come to a seated position to come into a close here, bring your hands together in a prayer-like position. Often call this prayer pose or prayer mudra. Once again, this is a practice that as you get better and you feel grounded and connected, it's recommended you close your eyes until you are more practiced, more grounded, feel confident, not dizzy, all that kind of stuff. Feel like you can manage your energy and your blood better. Until then, keep your eyes open, but just gaze. Don't like be looking all around the room, just kind of gaze. Over time, this exercise is going to help you activate your heart space. Breath in, inhale, exhale. Good. Yes, the tingling in your fingers can be chi. How about external powers? Yeah, we read that one already. Good. Somebody was asking, is the tingling in your fingers qi? The main thing to say about qi is that qi and blood, to begin with, they're really just one and the same. And when we start to get technical about, the words tingling in your fingers could be qi. It could be the blood coming back to life in your arm. It could be that you have stagnation in your traps. And as the blood is getting kind of worked with there and squeezed, some of that's being referred down the arm, and it's actually becoming a little tingling in your fingers because your hand is actually going to sleep a little bit because the blood flow is not as good as it could be. So there's different reasons why things like that can happen. In the beginning, in a very beginning class, maybe somebody teaches you and you feel somebody's qi like this, and that's all fine. When you're practicing the practices though, blood and qi, all of it, it just all comes together. So as time goes on, you define it a little bit more specific as the practices become more specific, paying attention to the saliva, paying attention to the breath, differentiating between, is that qi or is that stuck blood, etc. So good question. All right. So as far as practices, again, we did a bunch of practices, but just to point out a couple of things that you can do lying down. One of them was, I showed you just laying your hands. You can pick any of these positions, but the one I showed you where you're holding like so, gentlemen with right hand on top, ladies with left hand on top, holding this position while lying in bed for extended periods of time, literally 1 hour. Literally, you're not feeling well, you're lying in bed all day, 5 hours. I've done it. Off and on. You do it for 1 hour, you roll over, you don't feel good, do it again, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Because listen, when it comes to stress, it comes to anxiety, it comes to the first power center in your body, that's it. That's the source of it, right down there. So manage that space. If you look at an image of a Buddha that's sitting there in a statue, little wooden statue, or whatever the thing is, you typically see this being held just below the navel center. Some position similar to this, okay? Maybe a little deeper. You see slight variations of this. Some yogic schools, we have a slightly different mudra, but anyway, in general, something like this. So look, when you turn that over, check it out. The Taoist practice, same kind of idea. So this lower dantian is very, 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 did I say that before? It's very important, okay? Most people are so disconnected to this area. And when you are, it means you're holding your breath there. And if you hold your breath there, you're going to change the pressure dynamic in your blood. High blood pressure, low blood pressure, you're going to change the pressure dynamic in your different organs. You're going to start getting headaches. You're going to start getting really bad neck pain. The lower dantian, and I get into more details in this in some of the other courses, but I want to just say briefly, that is the location in yogic practices and some of the ancient meditation practices. It's the location of what is called the first knot. So if you have a knot down there, guys, it's causing all this other crazy stuff to go on through your whole body. Learning to first get in touch with it and then unwind it is what we need to do. And until then, you're doing that thing Jesus said not to do. You're seeking outside yourself to try and change your life. Doesn't mean we're not going to do that some. Everybody has to do that some. But if you're not looking inside yourself into the depths of the second chakra, the depths of the second chakra is where the lower dantian lives. If you're not diving in there, then you're too much on the surface of your life. You're going to have a very difficult time trying to figure things out. So I want to thank you all very much for joining us today. And next week, we're going to have another program. And next week, we're going to be talking about relieving pain. So some specific details about how we can address pain in the body. Again, I want to thank the Love, Peace, Amen Foundation for sponsoring this. This will be up on YouTube as soon as I get a chance to put it up there, probably within the next 24 hours. And you guys will be able to go back and watch it, watch the practices. I highly recommend taking some notes, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to dive deeper into some of the concepts, check out the book. You don't have it already, Qigong for Beginners, Your Path to Greater Health and Vitality. And of all things, practice Qigong, practice some of this specific stuff. Any other details?
Thursday class.
Tanya's just saying that also to invite you to Thursday's class. Every Thursday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursdays, I go over these exercises over and over and over again. You want to talk about value? Tony Robbins, I'm a fan of Tony Robbins, and one of his things, and as a coach and everything else, is give people value, give them way more value than whatever you're asking them for. Qigong class on Thursdays is way more value than what I'm asking for. $45 for the whole month, and you can tune in 4 times, practice with me. I give you a very individualized practice for that particular day. It's also recorded. It goes up on YouTube. You can have access to it for months, watch it afterwards, et cetera, et cetera. Check it out, and it's great for beginners as well. So thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and practice. Thanks, guys.